To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hey guys, it's Tim. I am with my beautiful wife, Audrey, and she's laughing at me because I look like Bob Barker right now. Having some mic issues as we try to get this podcast episode going today. It's been a
rough 2 weeks.
It's been rough.
We were displaced from our house for a week, so everything got messed up, and now we're trying to basically move half of our stuff back in, and it's going very slowly with 4 children and a baby. Mainly the baby is what holds it up, but
it's messing up our podcast.
It's messing up our podcast
schedule.
Yeah,
it's like, come on,
don't you guys know? Like, we have a podcast.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Can we schedule this around our podcast, please? There's been a lot of Disney news happening today.
There is today, what is today? Today is,
who knows?
Today is Tuesday, June 28th. Mm-hmm. So today, Disney Parks blog came out with Splash into Summer with more benefits at Disneyland Resort Hotels.
Bring it back, magic hour?
Half hour.
Yeah. Well, at Disney World, it was half hour.
Yeah, at Disney World, it's a half hour.
So when you stay at a Disneyland resort, if you stay on property, if you will, you before COVID, you had early magic hour, and so you got to go in an hour before park open. Some rides are open. Sometimes you can just go to the lands. Disney World, it was half an hour when we were there, but Disneyland hadn't brought it back yet, but it is coming back as of...
Let's see, what did it say? I'm going through that. August 8th. It starts August 8th.
Okay, so towards the end of summer break anyway. Mm-hmm. We'll be there in time. We're going at the end of August. Middle-ish, end-ish of August.
Yeah, so the big bullet points here are early entries back, direct-to-room service.
Cool.
That they already had that where you can check in digitally and use your phone.
I thought you meant the delivery from the parks.
But the package delivery is coming back again August 8th. So you buy something, it gets delivered to your room the next day.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Especially when you buy something breakable.
Yeah.
You don't want to carry it around the park all day. But again, this is only for Disneyland resorts. Yeah.
So and they're having pool parties. You can do a pool part. They have pool parties at the pools. Mm-hmm. They're bringing back to where you can get priority reservations at restaurants if you're Disneyland Resort Hotel.
Was that always the case?
That used to be a thing. If you're staying
there... I guess we usually don't stay at any... Or we usually don't eat at any... I mean, we did Blue Bayou on our anniversary, but usually with the kids, we're not doing any nice...
Yeah, we're not doing any reservation.
Yeah, we just do quick service.
So they're bringing that back. Also what?
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is coming back. End of July? Was it end of July?
I think so.
Which, I mean, I'm not going to take Georgia yet. I mean, we're going at the end of August. She'll only be 16 months old. I'm going to wait till she's, 4 or so. 5, has a favorite and would be excited by it. But we might walk by and get some pixie dust sprinkled on our heads.
Might as well.
Yeah. So I'm just, because now I actually have the possibility of doing it, where before, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oops. Yeah, but before I didn't have Georgia, so it was always I'm not going to do that. But now
we got it.
I have the hope of doing that someday and spending way too much money and do it.
Yeah, I don't even know how much that costs.
I don't know.
I'm sure it's a lot.
I'm sure, but I'm going to do it
All right.
someday when she's old enough to appreciate it.
Do it to it.
Before she's too old to be annoyed by it, I don't know. Because, honestly, any time from the age of 2 to now, I would have loved it. So, even at 15, I would not have been like, no. I would have been like, yes. So, we'll see. I'll have to see what kind of personality she has.
Yeah. So one thing that we always get asked about is, where do you stay when you go
Right.
to Disneyland?
Sorry.
Our usual
Go
answer
ahead.
is Disneyland Hotel. But especially during the summers, it gets very expensive to stay at any of the Disneyland resort hotels. But one thing that we always recommend are the Good Neighbor hotels.
Right. Which we had an episode of breaking down the Disneyland resort hotels, but we haven't really talked about the Good Neighbor ones we've stayed at and liked. And we're not going to talk about everyone we've stayed at. There's some that I don't remember the name of. But the ones that that stand out to us, good or bad. I was just thinking, okay, so we were just talking about the one we stayed at when we first got married.
Before we get going, I guess we should explain what a Good Neighbor hotel is. Because they don't, for Disney World, they don't.
It's off property, but
yeah.
not.
So Good Neighbor Hotel is a off-property hotel at Disneyland Resort, but they're considered a good neighbor because they're in partnership with Disney. You can buy Disney tickets there. They have special packages, things like that.
Right.
Usually it's the hotels that are around the property on Harbor and Catella.
Yeah.
Those are the street names, by the way.
Yes. But I was just thinking, okay, so we were talking about the one we stayed at when we first got married. I don't remember the name of that one exactly, but we walked. It was down on Catella, but it was a little bit farther. But then remember, we took a shuttle one day because remember it had a lot of stops, and there's a picture of us looking all sad because it was taking forever to get. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think
We have a picture of us looking sad because we were on the shuttle because they went a long way because there was road construction. So they had to go get back on I-5 and we look all sad.
I don't think that was when our first trip.
It was just me and you. And the only time we went me and you before we had kids was that trip. We didn't go again until Jack was a baby.
That's right.
So,
I think, were we just tired and we're like...
I hurt my ankle, remember? Or my knee.
Yes.
I wore bad shoes and my knee was killing me. So I'm like, but they usually don't offer a shuttle when they're that close. I have no memory of the morning and getting on the shuttle, but I remember being on it. I remember us being frustrated because they couldn't do their usual drop-off spot and they had to take a longer route. And so it was taking us longer to get to the park. And I used to stress out about not getting there at park open. But it's all I don't remember getting on the shuttle.
I think we drove to the parking. We didn't want to walk, so we drove to the parking lot to take the shuttle.
To the
Was it a Toy Story
parking lot? Yeah,
Toy Story lot?
To that lot? What car? Were we in the truck? No, we had borrowed your mom's car because our car wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
So we borrowed your mom's car. Okay. Now it's kind of coming back.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is not the point. I just was thinking about it. And I'm like, why did we take a shuttle when we were in walking distance? Anyways. Oh. So. Baby's moving, but she's okay. All right. So these are in no particular order of favorite to least or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of start. I'm looking at a map and ones we've stayed at. So one we've stayed at multiple times, we've also had family stay here and they were cool with it, is the Anaheim Portofino Inn and Suites. So this one is down on Harbor. It's like on the corner of Harbor and Catella. It's about like a 10 to 12 minute walk. Mm-hmm. So not bad.
Yeah.
They do not have breakfast, but they do have rooms with bunk beds.
Yeah.
They have suites.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's nothing amazing, but it's
It's your typical
It's a
hotel
typical
room.
hotel.
It's like a Holiday Inn type.
They typically had,
room.
you know, good rates, which is why we would choose it. It's in walking distance, and
Under $200 a night, usually.
that's what we had found. The last time
Yeah.
we stayed there was when I flew home from New York, and then we surprised the boys.
Yeah.
I flew into LA, and then we surprised them.
Yeah, that one
And,
they always have something available, and if you go during the right time
Well,
of year,
I don't want to say these things because remember when we were talking in fact about Disneyland Hotel, and then when we went for our anniversary, we were like wrong about everything.
I know.
So we have found good rates there.
Okay, I guess we don't want to give specific numbers, but
And one of them was, you know, the last time we stayed there was like kind of last minute. Mm-hmm. And it was in July. So it was High
Yep.
Peak, and Galaxy's Edge had
that just
opened, which is
Yep.
why we wanted to surprise the boys and go.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was a High Peak time, and it was like a reasonable rate with, you know, with being in walking distance. So there's that one. That's the Anaheim Portofino. If you are wanting to stay, like, I'm going to get these two out of the way. You've never stayed at these. If you are young, you don't have children. If you're getting there, like, park open, and you are staying till park close, and you are seriously only using the room to sleep, you don't care about anything else. I have stayed at Parkview Inn and Del Sol Inn. These are directly across from the entrance on Harbor. So you don't go through downtown Disney. This is the entrance where like the buses go, but it's actually a shorter walk to the gates than through downtown Disney. Pretty cheap hotel. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the rates are now. Like, you know, 16 years ago when I stayed there, the rate was like $89 a night. So I'm not going to say any kind of rate, but I mean, like, cheap is like, you know, it's like a motel. It's a motel.
Yeah.
So nothing great, but I think both of them have like or maybe the Parkview and has a breakfast. I don't think Del Sol does. No, Del Sol doesn't. But these are literally directly across. It's like a 5-minute walk. So also directly across that we have stayed at with the kids is the Best Western.
Yeah.
And same kind of thing. You know, it was fine. We could probably, I don't know if there are suites here. So, like, I don't know if we could fit in the room anymore.
It was pretty nice, though. It was recently remodeled. And it was nice. One thing I remember, though, the AC didn't work very well. Remember how it was, like, really humid?
Oh, yeah.
In our room.
I do remember
And it was
that.
just kind of uncomfortable.
I do remember that.
So, but I mean, that was a while ago. I don't know if they...
Now, this one isn't saying the breakfast, but that's the place where we got that free... Is that a different one? Am I looking at the wrong map?
No?
I
no,
am?
it's-
No.
or-
Where am I? There's Catella. It was the Best Western but it doesn't say free breakfast.
Well, maybe it's different
wonder
now.
if
I
they
mean, it's after the
changed
pandemic,
it.
or after COVID, so
Because they had...
things are a lot different now.
They had a good, because normally we go and we get, like, you know, I get Costco muffins and some bananas, and we just, like, we eat breakfast as we walk to the park. Like,
Yeah.
we usually don't care about the hotel breakfast. But this one had one, and it was, like, they had, like, eggs and waffles and a bunch of cereal and stuff. So I don't know if they don't have that anymore, or...
And it was at the restaurant next door.
Yeah, but you got...
Like vouchers. You got
Yeah.
buffet vouchers.
Well, okay. Maybe they don't do that anymore, which would stink. But that one was, you know, again, it's directly across. Another one we stayed at that is a little farther down, it's maybe more of like a 7 to 10 minute walk, is the Anaheim Hotel.
Yeah, that one was recently remodeled. It was an older motel type hotel, and then they remodeled it to be more modern.
Like the lobby, because remember we waited a while in the lobby. I think it was just really hot, and we were all tired, so we went to see if our room was ready, and it wasn't yet. But we didn't feel like going and doing anything else, so we sat in the lobby for a while, and I remember the lobby being really nice.
Yeah. And that's another one, kind of like Portofino, has really good rates. It was if you're looking for a cheaper rate, I mean, you're not staying at these hotels for the rooms so much. You're staying at these hotels because they're cheaper, they're clean, and they're close. Super
close. Like if you want to spend more time at the hotel like a resort, then the Disneyland resort hotels are going to be, they're pricier, but you get the nicer pools, and you get the breakfast places, and you get the
activities and all that stuff, and the restaurants and
all the perks we've already mentioned. So these are you're spending most of the time in the parks, and you're using this to sleep, then these are good.
Yeah.
They're
good for quick trips too. So if you're we're just going down for a weekend, we're going one night, and if you want to spend less than $200 a night, then these are good ones to
depending on
do.
The time of year too.
Depending on the time of year,
you never know.
Yeah.
And as far as the Disney bubble, I personally still feel like if you're staying right across the street, like I said, the Best Western one or whatever, I still feel like you can get it. Yes, you come out of the resort a little bit. You see other restaurants. You see an IHOP. You see a Panera or whatever. You also see those things if you ride the monorail.
That's true.
You get on the monorail, and if you look to your left, or it could be your right, depending on where you're sitting on the monorail, you see all that. You see I-5. You see, you see it then. But I still feel like it's not too far out, and you can still get there. Portofino's a little farther out of the bubble.
Yeah.
There's a few, another one we stayed at is the Howard Johnson. This one is farther down South Harbor. It's right off of I-5, right off. But it's still just about a 10-minute walk. This one, because it's right on the freeway and you pass more restaurants and things, feels a little more out of the bubble. I remember walking back and be like, I'm not in Disneyland anymore. This one has a really fun pool. It has a slide and a splash pad. We didn't use that because we stayed here in the winter.
Yeah.
And it was raining.
It was raining. It was cold.
It was raining that trip. And so we didn't use the pool. But if you're going in the summer and you have kids, it's a fun. It's like a little water park.
Yeah.
And they don't have breakfast either. I thought they did.
No.
But, okay, they don't have breakfast either. So you guys go to Costco and get yourself some muffins. But that would be a fun one in the summer if you're not wanting to do a Disneyland resort, but you might want to take a break to, take a swim break in the summer. That would be a good one. It's not a far walk. It's probably about the same walk as getting back to Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah.
That's actually even a longer walk, probably.
Yeah, Disneyland Hotel is deceivingly a long walk.
Yeah, it's like you're walking through downtown Disney, so you're still in the Disney bubble and all that, but it's probably a little farther. But yeah, so the Howard Johnson would be a good one if you're wanting to take some swim breaks in the summer, and if you have kids, because they have a fun little water park area. One that I don't recommend.
Are we getting on the don't go to list?
Well, this next one is I don't know. I'm not sure because it's changed. But the reasons that I would say no to it are kind of the same. So this one is down on South Harbor. It's 4 Points. I don't remember what
That's
it was when
right.
we stayed there.
It was called something else, but yeah, now it's called
So-
the 4 Points by Sheraton.
This is, when you get off I-5, it's the opposite direction on South Harbor than Disneyland. So when you are walking to Disneyland, you have to walk on the overpass over I-5.
Yeah.
And that really kills the Disney mood. Like
Yeah.
it just...
It kills the mood big time.
It just really does. And it's not that far. It's like, I looked it up earlier. It was like a 12-minute walk or something like that. 15 minute
12
walk.
to 15 minute walk
Which
after a
isn't-
Disneyland day, though, that's a long
It
walk.
feels like, and when there's just something about when you have to cross over and you are walking over I-5, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Also, and this was just specific to us. Our room was directly across from the elevator.
Yeah.
And we had a baby, and it was just like ding, 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 like all night. And I remember there was like, groups of people coming back, midnight, 1 a.m. and being super loud.
Yeah.
And, but that, if you were in any other room, you wouldn't be dealing with that. But the hotel itself was fine. I feel like it didn't have a fridge. We had to ask, because I brought like baby food for Jack, and then we didn't have a fridge, and we had to ask for one.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
But again, this has changed. It wasn't 4 Points when we stayed here. This would have been
10 years ago?
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, around that, a little over 10 years ago. He was like a year and a half. And I don't remember what it was. But, so I'm not going to diss it, because it might have like really comfortable beds and a clean room and, all that. But if you're not wanting the walk, let's see, doesn't seem like it has breakfast. Yeah, the walk really kills the Disney mood. But if that doesn't bother you, that's my 2 cents. The one we do not recommend, which we've already talked.
Costs.
Well, we've already talked about this in the past. I don't
Unless
remember.
this is the only hotel that's available, and you
Right.
just have to go to Disneyland that weekend or that week, and this is the only one. Then okay, but be warned. Just be warned.
It actually gets good ratings.
Really, that's surprising.
Better than okay. Well, and maybe some people might like the shuttle. Okay, so this is the Anaheim Majestic Garden Hotel. It is...
There's nothing majestic about it.
It is.
I'm sorry.
It is deceiving because it looks like it's super close, which it is. It is directly behind Toontown, or where Toontown was and will be back. But there is no way to walk to the parks. You are right behind I-5 and Disneyland Drive, which is a very busy street you can't walk on Disneyland. Well, at this part of Disneyland Drive, it's like right when you're going into the parking garage structure. So
Yeah, there's, like,
there's nowhere,
on-ramps,
there's no
yeah.
like sidewalk here. So you have to take a shuttle. Now, if you don't want to walk, then or you're used to Disney World where you don't. There's a few hotels where you can walk to Magic Kingdom, but you aren't walking. You're used to taking shuttles.
Yeah.
Then you might not mind that part. We didn't like the shuttle because, one, you have to wait, which again, if you're used to Disney World, you're used to waiting for shuttles into the parks. Or we're used to just walking out of our room and just heading to Disneyland. And it just kind of feels like you're being active to get there. We're just having to wait. It's like, get impatient. We also had an infant in a car seat.
Yes.
And so it was just kind of a pain on the shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been just easier to still have his car seat clipped into the stroller and walk. That's what we were used to. And so we didn't realize that you couldn't walk to the hotel, to the parks when we booked this. And we weren't crazy about that. But if you don't want to walk, if you can't do that walk, then maybe the shuttle wouldn't bother you. We just weren't crazy about that. Also, it took a while. Like, the shuttle took a while. And so it's like, I remember at the end of the night, like, we wanted to watch World of Color. And this was specific to our circumstances at the time, but it's like, Boston was an infant, and it was like, but by the time we get out and we're trying to get out of the crowd of World of Color, and then we have to go wait for the shuttle, and by the time we actually get on the shuttle, and then it's a drive back, like, it was just too much. It's like, I just wanted to walk back to our hotel and feel like I could get there in my own time. I don't know. But the main problem with this, I honestly don't remember the room. It was probably fine.
It was okay.
Is they set off the fireworks from Toontown. So
You're directly behind Toontown.
it is very loud. Like car alarms going off.
Yeah, we checked in and they're like, "Do you have an alarm on your car?" You're like, "Yes." It's like, "Okay, just keep in mind that the fireworks go off. And your alarm may go off." We're like, "Okay, that's kind of weird," but I didn't realize.
Man, like so loud, windows are shaking. At the time, we had a 3-year-old who was terrified of the sound of fireworks. And again, because we had, like a 2-month-old, we went back to our room pretty early. We were all pretty tired and didn't want to push anybody. And so we were in our room for the fireworks. If you are 100% staying in the park for the fireworks, that won't bother you.
Not an issue. Yeah.
If you want a shuttle and you're 100% going to be in there for the fireworks, then, hey, go for it. But if you'd rather walk and not wait for a shuttle, and you might be in your room for the fireworks, it was just loud. It was loud. So nothing like horrible about the room or anything. No terrible experience with.
Just for our specific family situation.
It was that situation. So
wasn't ideal.
Yeah. So it's nothing bad, but I still. I don't know because I've heard people from Disney World saying like, oh, you get on the shuttle and you're still in the Disney bubble. Mm-hmm. You don't see, which you will because you'll go on I-5 and stuff, so you see other things. But yeah, maybe you don't want to walk. And then it's, not so bad. We weren't crazy about that one. And, yeah. And then there was, there's other ones that you can shuttle in, you can stay, 15, 20 minutes away. There are other hotels that have shuttles into Disneyland, but these are, like Tim said, like the Good Neighbor ones. And
yeah. I mean, and there's your typical hotel chains too. You got your Holiday Inn, you got your Marriott and Hyatt and Hilton.
Those just tend to have
they're more expensive,
a higher rate.
Yeah, and it's like if you're paying that much to stay at these hotels, you might as well stay at Disneyland Resort Hotel.
Yeah. I mean, you could check it out.
I mean, I get why some people do, maybe because they have reward points and things like that.
Yeah.
So you may want to stay at those, but it's like, if you don't, and you're paying those premium prices for those resorts, those hotels, might as well just stay at, one of the Disney hotels. There is one that a lot of my coworkers would stay at. It's Embassy Suites. One thing that they really liked about it is, and I don't know if they do that now, but at the time they did, was they had free cocktail hour for adults along the pool. And so they would, I don't know if they're like margaritas or something like that. And so a lot of coworkers liked, they would hang out by the pool, they get the free drinks.
Is this the one on South Harbor?
I think so. It's a little bit of it's a little
like,
bit farther away.
Let's see. Is that Catella?
I don't think you can really.
No.
I mean, You could walk to it, but I mean, it's gonna be a long walk.
Well, you know what? I stayed. Wait, where did it go? Okay, there it is. I did stay down on that corner. It's West Chapman Avenue, that it's closest to, and on that corner is the Hyatt Regency. And in high school, we stayed there, and it was a long walk. But I was like 17, and we didn't care. But now I'd be like, no, I'm taking an Uber. That's something you could also do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Popular thing
it's
is
a
also
good-
people like to say Airbnbs. If you like to have a whole house.
It's about 2.5 blocks.
Okay.
The Embassy Suites.
That's
I'd say that's probably, I don't know, 15-minute walk or so.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like there's Airbnbs around too, and you could.
Yeah, if you have a group going and you want to.
You could Uber in, or you can, go to the parking lots and take the shuttles from there. And
Yeah, if you don't have car seats too.
Yeah,
then
it makes it a lot easier.
Uber would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
We couldn't do Uber. It would
Yeah.
be too much of a pain. But
So I mean, there's options around the park that aren't Disney hotels that are reasonable, and if that's the resort's not the important part of your trip, I mean and you want to spend more time at the park, and you just need a place to sleep and hold your stuff, then I mean these are a good option, especially too if it's like a last minute type thing. There's always usually availability.
Yeah, I mean the prices might be up, more last minute, but yeah, that's how I felt about like the Parkview Inn and Del Sol Inn. They're like motels, those two.
Mm-hmm.
But this was when I was, So that
was my feet.
I was like, what is that noise? Anyways, I just wanted to get to the park as fast as possible. I wanted to be there. And those two are actually shorter walks than Disneyland Hotel and Paradise Pier. Maybe not Grand California, especially if you're going to California Adventure, then you walk right in the park. But yeah, if you're wanting to get to the park, like have a very quick walk and you're barely going to be there, I mean, they're not going to be the best rooms, but they're like you walk out of the room and you're at the crosswalk to go into Disneyland. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Again, I haven't stayed at either of those in like 16 years. So I'm warning you that I don't know what they're like now.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there's just a quick few Good Neighbor hotels that we have stayed at. Nothing horrible has happened. Nothing gross. The beds are good, clean.
Yep.
Like short walks. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last minute question.
Oh, I had one. Okay, maybe I'll save it. Let's see if yours is any good.
It's not very good.
Okay.
But if you could have any dessert from Disneyland right now, what would it be?
Why are you even doing this? I think it would be Clarabelle's cookies and cream.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good right now.
That does sound good.
Yeah.
I would have a churro.
Yeah, I figured. I want something cold.
Yeah.
It's super hot.
It's so hot here in California. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. It was, I think, at 106 today.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Ugh.
Well, maybe I'll save my question for next week.
Okay, that sounds good.
It's better than yours.
Yeah, it is. But
do they have waffle cones? They have like a sundae at Clarabelle's.
Yeah, they have waffle cones.
There's also this like watermelon strawberry pineapple like alcohol drink there that I just saw
what I found
a video on.
I just realized. So the Tiki Bar, Disneyland hotel, the Trader Sam's.
Okay.
Trader Sam's.
You said Tiki Bar at Disneyland. What you meant was Trader Sam's at the Disneyland Hotel.
Well, yeah, Trader Sam's But there's a restaurant right next to it. I forget what it's called, a tiki bar and lounge or something like that. You can't get a Dole Whip there, but you can add in rum. Alcoholic Dole Whip.
Alcoholic. That sounds like the Dole Whip is an alcoholic.
Or you're an alcoholic for having to put alcohol in a Dole Whip.
I'm just picturing like the ice cream, like with like a face and being drunk.
Or a Dole Whip with alcohol. Adults.
An
Dole
adult's
Whip.
Dole Whip. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
So we'll have to remember that for next time. I don't like Dole Whips, but
I do.
I'm weird. I just want a churro. So, all right. Well, if you have any other questions about Good Neighbor Hotels, where to stay, tips, tricks when it comes to hotels, you know where to find us. Where can they find us?
On Instagram at dreaming.of.disney.podcast.
All right. There it is. Now you know. The more you know,
I feel like you've said that before.
Probably. I say it all the time. All right. We're going to end it here. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.